Hello again, guys. To continue now, moving on to lesson 6. So, lesson 6, it's all about the legislative authority. So, what comes to your mind again when you think of legislative? You should think of the highest of them all. Legislative, we did mention that it is the national level. So, now we're going to discuss about what takes place within that division. So, Parliament, it is the highest authority in the land, but it is still subject to the Supreme Constitution. So, what they're saying there, it means that Parliament, it is the head house that takes discussion amongst what happens between the two houses that are enlisted within. They still follow the Constitution, as the Constitution, it is the rule of law. Within Parliament, it is necessary to distribute power so that power cannot be abused. Government has three types of power. There are three divisions: legislative power, executive power, and judiciary power. The main responsibility of the legislative authority is the making of laws for ordering the community life in such a manner that all citizens can live peacefully and under physical and social well-being. So what they mean is, by making of laws, is that, remember, we did discuss previously in lesson 5 that the National Assembly, it is where the laws are being made and are going to be passed. Two secondary responsibilities is that they must ensure that money is available for the implementation of its laws, ensure control over the implementation of these laws. Of course, money is the center of everything to be developed. Without money, we cannot purchase even land. Without money, we cannot even purchase water. Yes, they say those are sources that are part of what? Your basic human rights. But for them to be maintained, we need money to be circulated so that maintenance it is being kept up to standard. So control, it is also one of those policy making processes. So without control, nothing is going to go according to order, and chaos, it's just going to erupt all the time. Talking about money already, if there's no control, everybody will be able to access money and they will just use it unlawfully and unfaithfully, and it would not sustain what is intended to do. The role of Parliament as legislative authority at the central level. So remember, legislative authority, it is as well called national, or we call it central level. So the role of Parliament within is that the Constitution stipulates that the national legislative authority is vested in Parliament. It gives a clear framework of its responsibilities, functions, and powers. It is a place where laws are passed. It is a place where important aspects to every South African's life are discussed and decisions are made about. As you know, Parliament consists of those two houses that we know of. So, as you see, 3.1.1, it is the composition of the National Assembly. I can attest and say right now that you guys, you are fully aware of those characteristics and you know them by now. 1.1.2, it is the National Council of Provinces. So the composition, again, you also know it, as I did also make a breakdown of it. So I move. So now we move to the point of the people that are based in the National Assembly. They need to pass and go through qualification assessment. So before they start their duties, members, they must make an oath to affirm that they promise that they're going to do their duties accordingly. A person will lose qualification when they're absent without permission for a long time. Every citizen who is entitled to vote qualified to make himself available to stand as a candidate in the election for membership of the NA, except, meaning excluding, anyone who is in the service of the state, and receives remuneration, permanent delegates to the NCOP, or members of provincial legislature, or members of the municipal council. Unrehabilitated insolvent, anyone declared to be unsound of mind by a court of the Republic, anyone convicted of an offense and sentenced to more than 12 months imprisonment without an option of a fine. So what they're saying there is people who qualify within that number of 350 to 400 members, those who will qualify that are enlisted within the number that I just said, it's citizens that they are able to vote and they can avail themselves to be elected. But anyone who is working for the state, meaning I myself, I'm working for a specific department. In this instance, I'm working for Department of Higher Education, and I'm receiving remuneration, meaning I'm receiving a salary. I cannot fall under the NA. No, I cannot work two jobs, right? So let's say I'm also a member of the NCOP, which is the highest house within Parliament. I cannot be a member of the National Assembly. Or whether I fall under the Provincial Legislature Committee, or whether I fall under the Municipal Council, I cannot. I mean, anyone who is not in a proper thinking manner, how can they really be in a position to make decisions, that are going to affect other people's lives? I mean, if you're an unrehabilitated insolvent, it means that you either were detained due to drug abuse or alcohol dependency. So meaning your mind, it cannot function accordingly as a normal person, if I'm saying it in a correct manner. So you cannot be there to represent the people of the country. So anyone who's also declared unsound of mind, I believe, how can I put this? Okay, check. People who are receiving grants, it's people who are not working, it's people who've got kids, it's people that fall under elderly, our grandparents, and it's people that we feel that they are disabled. Disabled in a manner that they are incapable to work. So if a person is declared unsound of mind, it simply means that you are not mentally healthy. You cannot be in a position to take decisive decisions that are going to affect people, right? And then anyone, like I said, who's been convicted because of an offense or who's been in jail for more than a year, 12 months imprisonment without an option of a fine, they cannot say, let me be a member, or I want to apply to be a member of the National Assembly. National Council of Provinces qualification. Every citizen who's entitled to vote in general elections in the RSA, every citizen who may be a member of a provincial legislature, people who are employed or appointed by the state, people who are members of the National Assembly may not become members under National Council of Provinces. Insolvent, declared mentally unsound, and then you can read further for yourself. So we now know that the term of office for you to be under the National Assembly or the National Council of Provinces, it is strictly a term of 5 years. Parliamentary tasks. So what happens within Parliament? Those two houses that are enlisted under Parliament, what is it that they do when they're there? So parliamentary task is that they must keep the executive accountable to the people of the country, summon any person to give evidence or produce documents of any institution to report to them, agree to a state of emergency, can pass a vote of no confidence in the cabinet, control state institution, debates and votes on the annual budget, control state institutions, it's a repetition. 54th can amend the constitution, make new laws, change existing laws, and repeal laws. It exercises certain judicial control over its own activities. It can hear petitions from citizens. So, in a nutshell, what it means that in Parliament, the two houses that serve under Parliament, guys, they make decisions that affect all people in the country. In this instance, we're going to talk about South Africa. Every day, things always erupt. I mean, emergencies happen, whereby we had COVID-19 in the past years. So it was affecting every individual in the whole world. So it was actually affecting what? The budget of the whole world, everything had to come to a standstill in our country. But within that standstill, there had to be other ways, other measures taken so that daily lives can proceed. One, they were like, okay, people of South Africa, they are needed to work. So what's going to happen if all of us, we now fall sick and we die? What happens to the work procedures that are supposed to take place every day? So that shows that a person, a citizen, is a very essential aspect for services to be delivered, for development to take place. So a state of emergency arose whereby they said, for now we can say some other departments, they can close down while others are still gonna go further. There were curfews that were made. We were supposed to wear masks, and remember, those masks were not for free. So somehow purchasing them, it was the government trying to curb the money that those departments that are not currently working, the monies that they're supposed to produce every day, they had to come to a standstill. So with the money that we used to purchase those sanitizers, to purchase the mask, that money could curb, those breakdowns or shortfalls that took place. So in Parliament, such discussions had to take place, and control in state institutions. I told you guys, I said if we don't refer to them as state institutions, we refer to them as what? As departments, right? Yes. So Parliament must make sure that people who are enlisted to make sure that services are being abandoned, services are being given out on a daily basis, which are what? They are our ministers, they are our premiers, they are our MECs, right? Parliament takes Parliament what's the word? It acts as an overview to check that control it is being maintained under those different departments. Are they doing their job? What shortage is there? How can they help to make that particular department um, um, be more developed? You can understand, yeah? Debates and votes on the annual budget. I mean, where money is, there are always going to be different types of talks, meaning different decisions arises. So, debates take place. I've given you an example before. I said every year there comes a time whereby we say it is what? Budget month for different departments. You'll hear others, they say, March is our financial year, or May is our financial year, meaning discussions now take place. So here's the overall budget. We have been given 400 million for a year. How are we going to use it? How are we going to distribute it within our department? So such takes place. The constitution always gets amended, guys. Each time changes take place, Amendments meaning they tweak them. They will say, I've made an example, I think it was with you guys, whereby I said NFSA said first, it said they will fund you only if you've got distinctions. But the citizens felt that it was really unfair. Other students, they tend to pass, but they don't reach to get distinctions. You get what I mean? So why should they be punished for not having those brain capacities of those who can get distinctions, although they worked hard? So at the end, they got a pass. So now it had to be amended, that bill, and changed so that it can be fair, right? So that is why constitution tends to be amended, things tends to be changed, things tend to be developed. In parliament, new laws are being made. I can say making of new laws, changing existing laws, and repealing laws is this the same as amending the constitution, because laws are written in the constitution. It can hear petitions from citizens. Like I said, had our president, had the cabinet, in fact, did not decide that state of emergency should take place, I told you that many of us have died already. So imagine how many would have died more if a state of emergency wasn't called. You understand? So petitions from citizens are being heard. As citizens, they are the foundation of our democracy. They are the foundation of why the Constitution was drafted down. They are the foundation of life in general, because we make decisions. I've said it before, Hore, people who are down there at a low level, they are the one who are actually making those in the legislative to have work, to maintain the positions that they've been assigned to. So without us here in the local division, the president, all his council, they would be useless, because they would have no people to rule. And they rule upon hearing from what we say we want. And we were able to say what we want through the abolishment of apartheid, right? How is a law being made in parliament? I mean, the laws that we say we have. The law that says Munye be at work from 2 up until 8. Munye, here are your duties. Deliver, teaching, and learning. So, that law, without it, I'll repeat, without organization, without control, none, everything, guys, in this entire world was not going to be the way it is. So we need laws to curb, to build, to protect, to maintain, right? So now we're going to discuss how are the laws within the Constitution that serve all of us are being made. A minister of a department, or the deputy minister, or an individual MP can introduce a bill to Parliament. A government department would introduce a bill. The drafted legislation that has been passed as a bill will be presented to Parliament by the relevant minister. After the officials of the legislation and proceedings have proofread the bill, it will then be printed by Parliament. Then a bill will be introduced in the two houses. But if it is a bill, a money bill, it won't be introduced within the two houses. It will only be introduced in the NA. We have four types of bills. They are called amendments to the Constitution, ordinary bills that do not affect provinces, ordinary bills affecting provinces, and money bills that only are introduced by the Minister of Finance in the NA. So 1.5, it talks about the members of parliament. What is their duties on a daily basis? So they must become involved in discussions with the public. They must help persons with their constitutions, meaning of our voting areas. For instance, they're the ones who will say now elections are gonna come, so the voting areas will be within Ward 7, representing all the wards within that particular location. Schools will be used, halls will be used, etc. They take part in debates that are involved in hearing committees. They hear specific issues that are discussed. Members have complete freedom of speech in Parliament. They have a right to say anything. They have that privilege to talk about issues they feel are opposing as long as they're within the rules of Parliament. So, the tasks of members of Parliament, guys, they are the same as parliamentary task, you see. So everything that happens in parliament, it happens through the members of parliament. The working method of the National Assembly. So this just explains how do they work on a daily basis. Like I said, there's a law, there's a rule that states me as Munye, as a lecturer, I'm supposed to report at this specific time. What are my duties? What's going to happen if I don't abide by my duties? What happens if maybe I'm having problems within my workspace? So the working methods of those under National Assemblies that they begin work at 2, and then as you can see there, you'll read for yourself, right? And then the working method again of those in the NCOP, also they've got procedures that they follow on a daily basis to maintain the services, the deliverance of their services. Legislative authority at provincial level. A provincial legislature is elected on a proportional basis in a general election. It has 30 to 80 members. The numbers differ province to province. The Constitution states that every member who qualifies to vote in the National Assembly, he or she is eligible to be a member of a provincial legislature. The current provincial legislatures were established by the 1993 Interim Constitution of South Africa upon the creation of the new 9 provinces. The members of the provincial legislatures, they are elected by party list proportional representation with a close list. The usual term of a provincial legislature is 5 years. The provincial legislature of a province, they choose their own premier as the head for the provincial executive. The legislature oversees the administration of the provincial government. The legislature also controls the finances of the provincial government. So what they're saying is that those people who are within the parliament, who are within the 2 houses, how do they work within the second level? How do they work within the provincial? That's what it states there, and you can read for yourself. 2.1 Legislative parliamentary competence over provinces. Any act of parliament will prevail over provincial laws in the following areas. Where an act of parliament deals with matters that cannot be regulated effectively by provincial legislation. So that I'm going to skip, guys. You will read for yourself. 2.2 Functions and competence over provincial legislature. That you can also read for yourself. Okay, now let us move to number 3. The legislative authority that it has at the local level. So this is very important. Local government is often called a cornerstone of democracy. Local government, therefore, forms the strong structure on which the society roof is suspended from. The task of local government is similar to the task at national and provincial level. These tasks, they are divided into legislative authority, administrative executive authority. Chapter 7, Article 2 of the National Constitution states that the executive and legislative authority of the municipality is vested in its municipal council. The legislative authority at the municipal level is called the municipal council. The Constitution also stipulates that a municipality has the right to govern. The national ad hoc provincial government may also not compromise or impede municipalities' ability or right to exercise its powers or perform its function. So, guys, you need to know the following: the objectives of local government. Please read those. I will explain them again next time on the next recorded lesson I will do for you. So please make sure you know them. We've got three different categories of the municipalities, and we all know by now that the municipalities, they fall within the local level. They fall under the judicial level. So category A is the municipalities that has exclusive executive and legislative authority in its area. B, municipalities that shall municipal executive and legislative authority in its area, with category C that you can read further on your own. Legislative competency. This, guys, it's very important. So please make sure you go through them. And then the counselors, you will read for yourself. So now I continue with lesson 7. So for lesson 7, please know the following. You must know, like I told you, I believe yesterday, the duties of the president, powers and functions of the president, key duties. Know the duties of the, where is it? Know the powers and functions of the premier. And then the executive authority at local government level, guys. Know the powers and functions of the executive committees. And then please know the duties of the municipal manager. You can refer to your books, like I said. Thank you. I hope this will be very useful to you.